Hello, everyone. Welcome to Three Count Radio. And today I have one part of Synergy, potentially one of the biggest wrestlers the biggest wrestler to ever come on Three Count Radio that isn't the hench Big Joe. It's Troy Ryan.
Yeah, can't quite measure up to big guns, but I'll happily take second place in this instance. Yeah. How are we? You okay?
I'm fantastic. How are you, mate?
Yeah, all good, all good. No complaints here.
Nice one, mate. Nice one. Well, usually I do that to start very few of my podcasts with gym and motivation and different things like that, but I'm talking to someone who just squatted 250 kilos. That is insane. So I think I'm talking to the right person when it comes to motivation. What would you say would be your kind of motivation on, say, whether it be a great day to get pumped up for the gym and maybe one of the days where you just can't be bothered?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. I think the main thing is, as opposed to motivation, I think motivation makes you do something once. So discipline and consistency make you do something every day. So I'm a big believer in making something a part of your routine. Like a while ago, and I know our Chris, he trains on a morning, and I just can't do it. Like waking up early and going before work. I've tried it in the past and it just doesn't work for me. So I was motivated to go, but I wasn't getting like probably the results that I'd want.
Yeah.
So it's just finding something that's a system that works for you and something that you can do consistently every day. So be it, in like every facet of your life, I'm like a real sucker for routine, a bit boring in truth, but like, you're eating and you're sleeping and you're training. If there's two things of number one is being disciplined and having a routine, doing things every day. And number two is having things written down and being accountable of knowing what you're going to do before you go in. So like you say, I was quite happy with that, the 250 squat PB today, but I had that written down as a program that I was going to do it before I came in today. So it's not just, what am I feeling today? Am I feeling all right? Am I feeling this, feeling that? Like if you've got a plan and something written down before you start, that makes a real measurable difference. And then you've got reference to that the next time of, whether it's you improve on how many sets you do, how many reps you do, or the weight, you've got a benchmark of something that you've done before that you can sort of build off really. So as opposed to motivation, it's organization, I suppose, is my answer.
That's the most different answer I think I've ever gotten. I love it. I absolutely, yeah, it's bang on. I've never thought about it that way. I,
Yeah, that's it. Like you say, motivation gets you up at 4 o'clock in the morning once, but like I'm not sure that'll carry you through doing that every day if that's the sort of thing you wanted to do.
it makes sense. It does make sense. Like the only times through the week I feel compelled and I feel this is I feel like I can't miss this day
Hmm.
is when I see my PT.
Hmm.
And that gives you a different type of feeling to go to the gym because then you've got the feeling of, oh, I can't let this person down if I don't go and this at the other. And
That's
well,
it. And
well,
that's that accountability that
mm,
you've got from your PT there is, like you said, oh, I can't let him down. But you maybe perhaps wouldn't do that for yourself. I know I wouldn't. So at the moment I've got like a weightlifting coach who, so the numbers that I do, he tells me, like they're not my own numbers, he tells me what to do and I'll do it. And I've always had that in the past as well of like playing sports or something like that. But the real difference for me was, like you said, you've got a trainer yourself, was having someone who's an expert. Because like I'm pretty all right at training and whether it's lifting weights or sports and stuff like that. But I'm not an expert. I'm not qualified. And I put it in the hands of people that are. And sort of like just let them sort of tell me what to do, I suppose. Yeah.
yeah, it's I had a PT a number of years ago
Hmm.
when exercise for this was still a thing, and then I kind of something that's what happened. They upped the prices, but then people who had been there for a while, the prices stayed the same.
Mm.
For like a loyalty thing.
Yeah.
But they had a habit of the the payments had a habit of not going through. So then they don't go through, and you have to resubscribe, and then you have to pay the price that was much too inflated for my income at that time.
Yeah.
So then I kind of thought the payment wasn't worth because we didn't have the income to pay.
That makes
Um,
sense. Yeah.
yeah. So number of years after, and I'm on the radio. I go on we on the radio. There's a bodybuilder that comes on,
Hmm.
two-time Miss Britain bodybuilder Alex. So she's a PT as well at King's in Bolton, and like that was just like, yeah, I live in Wigan, so it's a train in a way. But she's a bodybuilder and she knows her stuff. And
Yeah.
I have I've started seeing her with a friend, so it's me, a friend, and the PT, and I've progressed so much. We were doing legs for so long because that's where I excel. I
Hmm.
feel I'm much better at legs than anything else. But yeah, it's so much different when you've got a PT to help push you to places that you don't feel like you can be pushed to. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't go to the levels, the same weights or levels when I'm on my own.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I think like with mine, there's a lot of I'm given the program before I start for the week. So then if I'm sat working from home all day, I've got it in my head that this is what I'm going to do when I go and train later. And I just think when it's left up to you of we'll do 5 sets of 5 squats or something like that. If you're left to decide your own weight, if you've had a bad day, you might phone it in a little bit. You might not put the effort in that you would do normally. But if it's written down, you're going to do this weight for this many reps, then you are capable and you will do it. I think like you say, PT is that sort of worth the salt. They know when to push you and when to maybe not as well.
Yeah.
Like that's the frustration I have. My coach is always like, yeah, no, you don't have to lift that today. We're going to build up to something, you see. So, I need reining in, Andy. I've got the opposite problem.
Yeah, I actually get that
Mm.
because I'm someone who's very careful. I, I I know with certain weights or reps on certain machines, I know there's the ability I can hurt myself, so I like to be a bit careful. But especially with legs, I'm exactly the same there because I'm like, okay, and she was because when we were getting to the higher numbers and higher numbers, she'd go, "Can I pull it further?" I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Once you're
further,
hooked, yeah,
further,
the hardest
further.
thing's to stop, isn't it? Yeah, that's the hardest thing.
What would you say to diet as well? Because I'm a stickler for diet. I struggle with a
Yeah.
consistent diet.
I guess it sort of depends what your goal is. So I think a lot of people overcomplicate diet. So essentially, diet is an equation. If you eat more calories than you burn, then you will put weight on. If you eat less calories than you burn, you'll lose weight.
Mm.
But obviously the composition of where those calories comes in is quite important. There is a difference between eating 2,000 calories a day at McDonald's or 2,000 calories a day of like home cooked food or whatever.
Yeah.
But that is the ultimate equation, and I think people overcomplicate that. Like I've not done it myself, just because it doesn't align with the type of training I'm doing personally at the moment. But the results that a lot of the guys have seen from doing the 36 week physique, I know you mentioned Big Joe earlier, guys like RPD and Rick Marcus, Scotty Rourke and stuff, they've all they've seen great changes in their physique. And
Yeah.
from speaking to Rick especially, he was saying a lot of that was like the education in and around diet and calorie counting and stuff like that. And it's amazing that if you just stick to that process, that the results that you can get. And I think a lot of people do overcomplicate that. And if you stick to, it's a little bit boring, but if you stick to that sort of scientific method of this is what I'm eating for the day. And again, if you've got someone who's a coach that does any sort of like nutritionist type stuff, then that's really useful. I know there's apps that can log that as well. And I guess my other bit of advice is in terms of like meal prepping and things like that, is it doesn't really have to take that long. Like I've got things like a slow cooker is just amazing. because you just bang it. Like all I do is I'll get like a load of chicken, a load of veg, and just stick it in there, leave it overnight, and then like it's really nice. Like this chicken, you like pull it apart, and it's kind of like like pulled pork but chicken, and then I'll just eat that for lunch every day. And then I save money because I'm not out buying lunch, and it's readily available for me. So yeah, I think those two things of understanding you, and everybody's different as well. Like your metabolic rate, you might burn calories quicker or slower than I do. So it's getting to an understanding of how much you need to eat to either sustain weight, put on weight, lose weight, and being pre-prepared. So if you're organized, I think it's quite easy. But yeah, it's the same, especially when like wrestling's back and we're traveling. Like the amount of times you stop at services and get
Yeah,
McDonald's or something, like, because it's so easy, and I'm hungry. So
yeah. Uh, that's the issue, isn't it? When you're at home, oh, I can't be bothered cooking.
mm,
Order out, just eat, Uber Eats. It's so easy because you just there's so
yeah,
it's like that voice, isn't it?
yeah,
If I've had a long day, especially um I can't comment on this, but I can only imagine when you've had a long day at for wrestling, you've had a few matches, a double duty or something like that,
mm.
and you're exhausted at the end of the day. I can just imagine you just want something easy.
That's it. It's the shows when you travel, like when we've done shows that are quite a long way away, and you're on the way back, and you see the golden M at the service stations, and think,
Yeah.
oh, go on then. Yeah, so yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that one's brutal. It's with me, it's eating in general. I don't know what it is, but I don't eat like when I said earlier though, well, me working legs a lot more than upper.
Hmm.
I've with my PT I've changed now to chest because I can't do chest. Struggle about doing chest. So I asked my PT if we can do it. So now when I see my PT, that's what we're doing. I'm not choosing to do it. That's what we're
Mm.
doing. Um, but during training yesterday, we were doing suplexes, body slams, hip tosses. I was like, this takes strength. It,
Yeah,
it takes it takes strength. And what was in my head was, I'm not worried about me getting hurt there. I'm worried about hurting someone else. That's the main thought. The scoop slams especially because there was a few times where I was falling and slipping. The little intricacies that Ridgeway and Bailey were going through, every tiny little thing that you squat down, you look forward as opposed to looking down, because if you look down, then you're going to go down. And
yeah,
those little things, which I think is amazing, absolutely amazing, but um, it's opened my eyes a bit to maybe a bit of ignorance, maybe or laziness to my upper body as opposed to my legs, because I love doing legs. But I really, really, it's opened me eyes to work on upper body a lot more now.
yeah. No, and it'll come. It'll come as well. Like there's no easy answer, unfortunately. You probably got to, if you don't like something, chances are you probably got to do that more,
Yeah,
unfortunately. So yeah, yeah, no, completely understand.
yeah, it's great, but it's that, as you say, it's the discipline
Mm.
that's more of what's needed than anything else. And I really do like that answer. Um, so you are majorly, from what I've seen, are majorly into powerlifting and strongman, I believe. Yeah. Uh,
Yeah.
it's something I've really wanted to try personally. But what was the inspiration to get into strongman?
Yeah, so to be honest, like the whole strength sports thing's been fairly recent for me. So I've always trained like a lot, but I've trained with sports in mind primarily. So like for years, I used to play American football when I was at uni and for a little bit after. So I'd train really hard with a view of being a better player. And chances are, if you're bigger and you're stronger and faster and all that, like I've always put like a real focus on like being fairly athletic as well. But it really came with lockdown, to be honest. So with the strongman stuff, I was really, I think, yeah, I was really lucky actually that a friend of mine had a unit of strongman equipment, and obviously he couldn't stay open.
Yeah.
So he was kind enough to let me borrow that, and I think I probably saved him a few quid in storage as well. So it seemed to work out for both of us. And to be honest, like I think like everyone at the start of the pandemic, I didn't realize how long it was going to be, obviously. So yeah, I just started to train with that kit. So like the log lift and the axle bar, and just awkward implements, the big dumbbell Atlas stones, like. And I lived on my own as well, so obviously like still working from home, but it's that discipline, it's that routine. I needed something to do, and obviously after I stopped playing American football and I started wrestling, then that became the goal of something to train towards. But then obviously wrestling gets taken away because of the pandemic. So I was like, well, I need something to do. Otherwise, I wouldn't stop training, because I could have probably just not trained for 12 months and then picked it up again and trained pretty hard for 6 months and be in a similar-ish position. But I thought, like, no, like, I do this every day. I want to excel at something. So that's when I started looking into some of the strength sports and stuff. And so I did a strongman competition. I think it was May time. It was just after I moved house, and I did okay. I did pretty well. I think I came, was it fourth or fifth out of like about 20 odd people. The problem is you say I'm the biggest guest you've had on here, but I was by far, I look like a child compared to these guys. I went with our Chris, and they asked him if he was competing before they asked me. Obviously he's 6'3" and a lot bigger than I am. And I think people were a bit surprised that I was there to compete with people twice my size, but I still enjoyed it. And then the powerlifting, that's the since I've moved, like I train at a gym in Eccles that my friends run, and they're
Nice.
both competitive powerlifters. They basically like turned around and said, like, you're pretty good at this, Ryan. Like, do you want to have a go at competing? And I'm going to compete in October. And yeah, like so yeah, I'm not gonna, I'm hopefully something very good's gonna come at the end of that, but I don't want to spoil it in case I bottle it and don't do it. But I'm hopeful to qualify for something pretty cool after that. So yeah, like I've always done the training, but I like having a sort of goal in mind. And obviously now wrestling's back. I think once we get past this, powerlifting competition, then I might sort of do them a bit less frequently, like, and get back to a bit more of the training style that I used to do. But yeah, it just basically sort of filled a void for me, really, when wrestling wasn't sort of readily available.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. It's it's always been, it's been something rather recently that I've looked at, like you. I mean, obviously I'm not exactly the same size as you, a bit off, but for the future, of course. But again, the PT that I was telling you about, tried it for the first time not long ago, and said next time she goes, you can go and they'll alter the weight so that you can do it. Like, it's really interesting. On the radio, we always talk about the Atlas stones. That's like a big favorite of ours.
Yeah, Atlas stones suck as well. They're really hard. Yeah.
They don't look easy at all. I
Yeah.
remember looking at Chris when on one of the last Future Shock shows when you had your match against JJ, I believe.
Yeah. Yeah.
He has bulked up, huge.
Yeah, he's massive. He is, yeah, and it's a bit annoying, to be honest. I'm always, no matter how strong I get, I'm always the small one.
Oh,
But
you're the
no,
small. That just says everything that you're the small one.
yeah, no. Honestly, he is an absolute monster. Like he's huge. He looks great for it, and
Oh yeah,
he's a big dude, and he's abnormally athletic for somebody that size. He shouldn't be able to do a lot of the things he can.
I agree. I agree.
I'm just
Like,
glad he's with me. That's all.
there are people my size, obviously jacked, but my size that can't do the things that he can do. It's just, well, either of you can do really. It's impressive, incredibly impressive.
That's
I
very nice. Yeah.
it's true. It's true. I always I always look at people and say your size and Chris with the sheer muscle, and I know it takes discipline, but that is some discipline, like severe discipline, because it's impressive.
I think
Like,
because we obviously with the with the COVID restrictions, we've been training in quite in partners and very very small
mm,
groups and stuff. And so Chris and I have just trained together for the last year, I suppose, or
yeah,
however long it's been. And yeah, I think it's because we train together. There's just you always got to do a little extra 10% when it's your mates, and we'll just try some ridiculous stuff that we probably wouldn't ask someone else to take. But when it's your mates, yeah, you go a little bit more. I think, yeah,
yeah, I'm like that. My mate, because my mate and I, who we when we go to the gym, he's upper body and legs. So now, because we're on upper body, I've had my time of showing off. We were on one of the chest press machines, and he's like that.
yeah. I
Mm.
took Chris to the gym last week actually, and he did so. I think it was a 265 kilo squat. It was absurd. Yeah, like to be honest, like I reckon there's a bit more in the tank there as well. But we were joking that we just need someone who's good at bench press because I'm really good at deadlift. He's really good at squat, and we just need someone else who's really good at bench, and then we can complete the three between us.
I do love a good squat. Painful, but I love a good squat.
Yeah.
I was actually I was talking because they had me to last on here not long ago.
Hmm.
They brought because we were doing a booking of NXT Indies versus NXT, and they brought you up, and they brought the video of you doing the 60K dumbbells, just doing bench press, and I've
Yeah,
not
yeah.
closed. I am very professional and haven't closed Facebook. How professional am I? Oh, the 60K dumbbell bench press, and you hit 9.5, I believe.
Yeah, yeah. Nearly 10, not quite.
Me being able to pick it up off the rack is impressive enough. That would have been me. There you go. That's insane, insane. It's a goal for me to get to that point.
Yeah, no, like you say, consistency and that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So taking a bit of a turn to wrestling, what would you say would be was your inspiration as a young Troy Ryan getting into pro wrestling?
As in when I was a kid watching wrestling, what sort of attracted me to it, or
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, no. So like I was talking about this with a friend the other day. Weirdly, the earliest memory of wrestling I had was obviously like so from the Attitude Era. I think a lot of people my age will remember that was the do you remember the wedding between Stephanie McMahon and Triple H, where it was Test and Stephanie were going to get married, but it was revealed that Triple H had taken it. And I just thought it was mental. Obviously, like my dad, like when I was growing up, he liked like Hulk Hogan and Ultimate Warrior and stuff like
Mm.
that. So he sort of like got me into it. But then, it just became this sort of bizarre soap opera. And then I remember the resulting street fight between Vince McMahon and Triple H and Stephanie turning on her dad and
Oh,
like I think that was like my earliest memories of wrestling. But yeah, I always really enjoyed like the more athletic wrestlers. So when I was really young, it was like the Hardy Boys and like the high flying stuff. But then when I got a bit older and the appreciation of, like Brock Lesnar was always like the original run Brock Lesnar from sort of like 2002 onwards was just the guy. I thought he was incredible. So
yeah.
Lesnar and Angle, I think from that period, the early sort of SmackDown, I always thought those guys were just on another level, really.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's like the next best thing, Lesnar of the early 2000s. Like even Lesnar now,
I still think
I
he's fantastic. Like,
I do.
and a lot of people, will it's yeah, it's not a lot of people's cup of tea, but I think there's no sort of denying like the draw that he is, and that there's very few things that are still sacred and special in
Yeah,
wrestling, and I feel like Lesnar's one of them. And I feel like he really gets it as well. Like he probably would, like the way that he managed to get Drew McIntyre over in that Rumble, and then at WrestleMania. Obviously, it's a shame there was no fans in attendance at the time, but like, I think he's quite underrated, if I'm being honest.
I personally agree. There's a lot of hate, like driven towards his way, a lot of anger with how
Mm.
he's booked. But when you look at, I can see why people would be angry with him being world
Yeah,
champion but not
of
turning up.
course,
He's
yeah,
just not there. But when he's world champion, he's not turning up, and he only turns up on special occasion. That makes the title look so much more prestigious and more important because then when someone beats him for it, man, what a draw! What a moment!
yeah, 100%. And there's in this age of where there's a lot of sort of 50-50 booking, and like I think you can count on on your fingers the amount of matches that Brock Lesnar's probably lost.
Yeah, you can. And one of them is to Drew. And that Rumble, that Rumble where Lesnar was just, when MVP came out, he just starts dancing to his
It
music.
was
It was just,
superb, wasn't it? Yeah.
if people say Lesnar doesn't get wrestling, just show him that Rumble. He understands it.
I think it was the best one in
Truly.
years, that one. I really enjoyed it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. Because it was kind of split in two, wasn't it?
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I think it was designed to, if you think that if that match was designed to sort of, solidify Drew McIntyre as the guy, it accomplished exactly that. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
And he obviously played his part in that. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely fantastic. It's one of the best. I said at the time, and I still maintain now to this day, it's one of the best Rumbles ever, in my personal opinion. Like the
Yeah, definitely
execution of it,
in recent
yeah,
years for sure. Yeah.
the execution of it, the storytelling, phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. And we do kind of live, well, not kind of, we do live in an age where the curtains been thrown back and all that, but it's in this kind of age, that pure storytelling where you're so engrossed in every little moment, it was
That's
brilliant.
it. I think there's still an air of mystique about Lesnar as well, because he's not got any. He's not a guy on social media who does charity appearances and things like that. And obviously, that's a great thing, and it's fantastic. But the fact that he's like the one that doesn't do any of that.
Mm.
And I watched like a YouTube little documentary about him that he lives on some ranch and doesn't even have a mobile phone and stuff. Like, you don't get that sort of personality anymore, I don't think.
No, you don't. Like he went, like when he leaves WWE, that's it, he's gone.
Yeah.
That's it. Like you hear nothing of him until he's back. Like maybe a couple of things on the dirt sheets, but you never 100% confirmed.
Hmm.
So he has got that mystique that think think WWE in this era lacks because of the social media presence and because of all the meetings. And as you say, it's amazing. It's amazing. Absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
It is truly, but I think that mystique is kind of lost
Yeah.
on a
No,
lot.
no. Yeah, I agree.
So what brought you into training?
Yeah, so like I said, I'd quit American football, and shortly after I'd moved to Manchester. Obviously, like I've
Hmm.
graduated uni now, and I probably need to grow up a little bit. And
Yeah.
so I'd started a new job, and it was actually where Ashton Smith worked as well.
Ooh.
And so I worked with him sort of outside of wrestling, and I think it had got brought up something about people in the office, liking wrestling. I was like, oh yeah, I'm quite a big fan sort of thing. And then like Ashton told me about Future Shock and gave me the details, and just sort of took it from there really. So it's like quite a chance meeting, I suppose, that we just happened to work in the same company, and that's kind of what led me to starting.
That's interesting. Very interesting. I'm guessing you were one of the bigger ones there.
Yeah, well, Chris and I were at the beginners class together, and
Mm.
we sort of gravitated to each other quite quickly. And we are like bizarrely similar. Of he's got exactly the same background as me, of him playing the same sport and stuff like that. So we quite quickly said from then, that it'd probably be a good idea if we teamed up.
Yeah, were you like anytime there was like to grab a partner or to lock up, it was like you
Yeah,
two. Yeah,
100%. Yeah, 100%. And we're both like we're all a little bit competitive as well in like the nicest way. So yeah, like I think the a lot of the early physical stuff came quite easy to us because with us both being coached quite a lot, from playing sports, it was, oh, do this, and we just kind of do it. There wasn't like the cognitive process of, oh, should I really do a front flip and hurt myself? We're just like, if someone says do it, we'll just do it. So yeah, that's kind of how that all started, really.
yeah. Speaking of that, actually, the one thing that I've learned about this is if you think about it, you're not gonna do it.
Yeah.
Like, you just need to, like, as soon as you're taught to do something, you need to do it straight away.
Yeah, yeah, 100%, 100%. That's it. Is like, as long as you follow the instructions, and like some things seem very scary the first time you do them, and there's certain things that some people just don't like doing, which is fine.
Mhm.
Like if you get to the point, like obviously you've been learning body slams recently and stuff, but if you get to doing a wrestling show and you don't like body slams, you don't have to do them. I think there's
Yeah,
certain things that everybody needs to be able to do, like you say, have that base level of athleticism where you're keeping everybody safe in the
yeah.
match, and you need to understand how to bump and and take moves off other people. But if you never want to do a body slam, then that's fine. You don't have to. But yeah, definitely, I think like the minute that you stop and start overthinking, it's hard to sort of come back from that, I suppose.
Takes you out of it a bit, doesn't it? Because
Mm.
it's it's an oxymoron when someone says, right, just clear your mind, and it's an
Yeah, but then you're
oxymoron.
stressing. I'm like, I'm trying to clear my mind, but it's not
Exactly,
going.
you
Yeah,
can't. So it's very difficult to do that. But I would went over because, as I said to you the other day, we were going over the bumps at the very beginning of the session just to get them all out the way. As I did boom, 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 session start. That bump, there's a few kinks, but not bad.
hmm
Bump, bump. Nah, there's a mental block between me
that's it.
falling on my face. There's a mental block.
Yeah, I think sometimes like yeah, you just just leave it for the day and come back another day, I suppose. But yeah, try not to. It's a hard thing to say, but try not to overthink, I suppose.
It is one of them, yeah. Um, it's a question I forgot to ask you about Strongman, and I'll leave this as a last question for you.
Go ahead.
What would you say is your favorite and least favorite would be your favorite and least favorite thing to do while you've been training for Strongman?
Cool. So deadlift's always my favorite. If I can deadlift an implement, like the car deadlift or something like that, that's my favorite because I'm good at it. That's is the only one I'm good at, really. So yeah, some sort of some deadlift variation would 100% be my number one. Um, my least favorite is probably so there's probably two, I think, or anything moving actually as well, because
Mm,
the advantage of being half the size of everyone when I competed was I'm faster than everyone. So any sort of movement event like the farmers walks or the yoke, I seem to do pretty well at. But least favorite would be one of two. So the stones are just not nice. Yeah, the stones aren't nice, and the worst thing is you get this, like, they call it tacky glue, that you like cover your hands and your forearms in. And obviously, I'm very inexperienced at this, and someone lent me some of their tacky glue when it was time to do these stones. And firstly, I didn't have anything on my forearms. I see these people have got like sort of forearm covers, and then I'm just there, just bathing myself in this glue, and it's literally like you pulling your hand off your own arm, and it hurts like a lot. And everyone's
yeah.
looking at me like, "What are you doing? Why have you not got these sleeves on?" I was like, "I don't know what they are." And they're like, "Why have you got so much on?" Like, so when I was doing these stones, I was literally sticking to them to the point where I put one on a plinth and I was expending more energy to sort of pull my arms off it, and it ripped all the skin off my
Oh,
forearms. So I'd say stones in that instance. That was my worst experience ever doing
oh,
strongman. It was
that's brutal.
horrible. But I feel like if I was to do it again, like knowing what I still did okay. I completed all the stones, but it was just very painful, and to the point where like the bruising was there for upwards of a month afterwards. It was that bad. So I'd like to give that another go, knowing what I know now.
Yeah,
But the other one was there was an event called the Conan's Wheel, which I hated, where it's essentially in like a Zercher squat position. So across your arms here, you lift an implement and walk around in a circle, like Conan the Barbarian, the film.
yeah.
And but this was over twice my body weight. And you just, when you start going, again, it's something I'd never ever done before. So I picked it up too high and I took like 5 steps backwards, and then I had to keep going and going and going and going. And you can just feel yourself starting to black out like the whole time, because this thing's so heavy and it's like crushing down on your chest that you can't breathe properly. So it was literally just sort of go until you pass out, I suppose, which is, yeah, quite unpleasant. So I think, like I said, any deadlift variation, give me that all day, or moving events, apart from this Conan's Wheel or Atlas Stones.
That sounds horrific.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know why I
Oh,
do this, to be
brutal.
honest.
Well, a positive from that is if you were able to complete Atlas Stones with that, with so much glue on your arms, having to expend so much energy taking it off,
Yeah.
then without the glue and with sleeves on your forearms, you'd
I'd probably do it
be
better. I
pretty
also
decent.
torn my oblique muscle in my, not oblique muscle, adductor muscle in my leg, like just before that as well. So yeah, it was a bad day at the office, really. But
Ow,
yeah.
ow, 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 yeah, ow. The way I know, the reason I know what that muscle is because of the gym, but yeah, ow.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like the outside, yeah,
Yeah, the inside.
inside.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not nice. That is, that's not nice, but that is insane that you were still able to do that with a Tom
I
body.
didn't feel good afterwards. In truth, probably wish I hadn't really, but
Keep knocking something underneath this chicken. Um, yeah, ended on quite a brutal note, but thank you for coming on. Is there anything in the future you'd like to plug?
yeah, I suppose. So yeah, you just come watch us wrestle, I suppose. So we'll be at LWF, at Future Shock, at Odyssey, PW4U. I'll be posting it all online all the time. So yeah, any shows that you Fight for Honor, they're a new promotion as well that are looking really promising to start with. So so yeah, I'll be posting it quite frequently, probably bugging everyone with all my wrestling updates. But yeah, I'd love for you to come see us wrestle.
Not a problem at all. Get those tickets bought. I'll put your social media in the link below, in the description below. Thank you for joining me, and thank you everyone for watching. Goodbye.
See ya. Cheers.